We all know that quality time is important, time to reconnect and remember that we are a couple and not just managing a home together. But how do we actually do it? After having kids, it seems impossible. Well, mamas, we are going to talk exactly about that today. In this episode, we will talk about what makes it so hard, why we should shift the way we think about date night, and then get really practical and talk about how to make it happen. Here we go. Hey, and welcome to the New Mama Marriage Bliss Show. I want to help you get out of the overwhelm and distance and guide you to reconnect to yourself and to your husband. You know you want things to be different, but you're probably not sure how to make it happen. Well, Mama, you're in the right place. Here we will dive into all the things you need to start loving your life and relationship and start living like soulmates and not roommates anymore. We will dive into motherhood, marriage, communication, holistic inspiration, and practical hacks and tips. Mama, I believe that transformation and deep connection await you. Hi, I'm Aliza Saeed, proud mama and grateful wife, and the Mama Marriage Coach. You too can turn your mess into magic. Come on, Mama, and let's do it together. Hi, mamas, and welcome back. I hope you are all warm and cozy wherever you are. Here it is very rainy and cold, kind of weather I just want to cuddle up in. So as I mentioned in the intro, today we are going to talk about how to master date night, even after having kids. We probably have all heard about how important date night is and how you should prioritize it. For many of us, it probably has become to be a term that we just learn to hate because it seems so unrealistic, and it kind of is this expectation that we always feel like we're failing. In the daily grind, it gets really hard to actually have a date night, especially after kids. Now, why is that? So let's start with just being purely exhausted. Think of your day, either that you had yesterday, the one that you're going to have today. If you have little ones or big ones, it doesn't matter. From start to finish, you wake up in the morning and there's so much that needs to be done and so much that you need to do. Doing everything that needs to be done. And by the time that your day is over, you just want to collapse. And actually to add something else onto that list that you need to do that day kind of seems exhausting, draining even. Another reason many mamas find it really hard to have a date night is because they feel like their mind, body, and soul are so hung up with their babies that they don't have anything left to give. They're just kind of drained. Not only tiredness, physical tiredness, but they feel like their body is occupied for somebody else. Their mind and soul is given to the worries for their children. And what part of me am I supposed to give for this relationship? Another really good reason is because many times when we're in the survival mode in motherhood, which in parentheses I will say, we shouldn't be in survival mode, but it is something very realistic that happens. So when we're in that survival mode in motherhood of just doing the day-to-day things and getting everything done that needs to be done, it's so easy to build up resentment and distance between you and your husband. How do we build up resentment and distance? Well, when something frustrating might happen between us. So instead of actually solving it or communicating it, because I don't have any space left in my mind, body, or soul to deal with it, instead of dealing with it, I put a little brick on this defensive wall around me. Now, defensive doesn't mean that I'm just being defensive towards my husband, but it means I'm protecting myself and my resources because I feel like I don't have anything else to give. So instead of actually dealing with it, I put this brick up. So every little thing that happens might add a brick to my wall that's defending me, but also blocking me from being connected to my husband. So these little things build up and up and up and up, that it builds this wall that makes it really hard for me to see the good and the love between us. And then what happens is that wall also kind of makes me not even want to have a date night. Do I really want to go out with him? But this and this and this and this frustrates me with him. So I don't really want to go out and have a fun night with him because I'm full of resentment and distance anyways. Budget can become really hard after kids. You have to budget so many other things into your monthly budget that going out on a date night or investing in something fun to do, or even going out to eat. You might be trying to be a little more mindful of how you're spending your money, and then things become a little harder in date night because, well, what are we going to do? Another good reason to try and avoid date night after having kids is because you might be a little more self-conscious about your body. You probably don't look like you did before you have kids, and here go my parentheses again. That's okay. Not only is that okay, that's good. Soon I'll have a episode about our body rebranding, but you probably don't feel the same in your body that you did before having kids. And just thinking about dressing up and trying to, feel good might make you want to just avoid the whole thing and not have date night. So that's a good reason to run away from date night. And the final reason that we'll give here is that you might also not even know what to do. Okay, we cleared out our schedule, that we have enough time to be together, and we have a babysitter, or maybe we don't have a babysitter, but we have this time to be together, and then we just sit and look at each other and ask ourselves, well, what do we do now? So you might have this time together and you don't know how to spend it together. Should you go to the same restaurant every time? What should you do? You probably want to spice things up a little bit, maybe do something fun, but you don't have any ideas, and thinking about something else is another thing on your to-do list to think about what it is you want to do. So, what do we do? How can we make date night something we wait for and not dread? So, first we're going to talk about some mindset shifts, because it all starts with mindset. And then we're going to get really practical about how to master date night. So when we talk about mindset, I'm going to talk about two main points. The first point is to really prioritize. Everyone says it, and it's annoying to hear because I know I'm supposed to prioritize it, but life happens. But the truth is, when we know it and we feel it in our heart, it gives you a really strong why you should put in the effort for date night. So why should we prioritize date night? What's the big deal about date night? Well, I believe that a healthy, connected relationship between you and your husband is the biggest gift you can give to your children. Not only that, a strong connection creates a strong force that fights loneliness in life. It gives you power and support to go through all the ups and downs of life. And let's face it, there are many ups and downs. Especially in parenting, things can get really hard. But when you have a teammate who supports, respects, and loves you, it makes the journey so much easier. There's been so many studies about how positive relationships in life, they have so much influence not only on your relationship, but on your success in life, on your health, on your mental health, physical health. And we know that strong connections in relationships are so important for everything in life. And if you want to be able to create a relationship that's connected and loving and supportive, then you need to be able to create that sacred space, that togetherness that belongs just to you two. Kids learn from observing, not from talking. You can tell your kids 1,000,000 times that they should eat healthy. But if you yourself are not making a change in your own lifestyle, then it probably won't change a thing either in their lifestyle. We can tell our kids to talk respectfully, but if we're barking at our partners and yelling at them and calling them names or acting disrespectfully to them, they will probably talk like that too. They will learn those words that I'm using when I'm talking to my husband. When our kids witness a relationship that's full of love and connection, then they learn how to create the same kind of relationship. Humility, true listening, affection, genuine communication, all that good stuff. It's all learned, especially by living it, watching it, and witnessing it. And the best people to witness it by are from our own parents. When you create a loving relationship, you're not only creating a relationship, but you're creating something inside your children. Now, another reason is there are a few peaks in divorce rate. One is after the first child. Another is when parents become empty nesters, when their children leave the house. The divorce rate of empty nester couples has gone up to 1 in 4. When kids are at home, you can, in quotations, use them as a distraction. You can subconsciously run away from dealing with your relationship because there's enough to deal with just with the kids. You can always talk about the kids, have something to do for the kids, and then once they leave the house, you actually have to look at each other, talk to each other, and reconnect. If you live in disconnect when the kids are home, it won't magically be different later on. Love is kind of like a bonfire. You need to keep adding wood to make it burn. And if you don't do that all those years, well, it'll be hard to find that connection again. Empty nesting can be an opportunity for an even deeper honeymoon period, but that will only happen if we do the work until then. Another reason we should prioritize date night is because marriage and building a strong relationship is an invitation to such a deep self-development and personal growth journey. When you work on your marriage, you're allowing yourself to reach your highest self. You change not only in your marriage, but in your life in general. For example, learning how to communicate in a marriage is like this concentrated boot camp of how to have loving communication. Now, when you work on that inside your marriage, you're going to have those skills everywhere else you go in life. It's going to change who you are inside. So when we work on a relationship, kind of gives us a reflection of who we are, and it teaches us to look deep, deep inside and improve from the inside out who we are. And then the person that we bring to the world is going to be that improved person because of the deep work that was done inside this intimate relationship. Now, the second point that I want to talk about mindset is that we have to change our perception of what date night is. Let's just not even call it date night because sometimes it's not a night. Let's call it time for connection. Time for connection it can be done in many different ways. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing. Many times when I ask women, well, what do you think about date night? Well, they say, like going out to a restaurant and having a babysitter, and I don't want to do that. And I want to tell them, no, but you don't have to do that. That's not what date night has to be. Date night can be so many different things. And sometimes when we think about date night, we want it to be so perfect that we don't end up doing it. Just like I mentioned in the episode about mindfulness, perfectionism sometimes can cause us just not to do it. And with date night, especially after having kids, it's okay to cut corners a bit just to make things happen. Many times we have these little excuses of why we can't go out. I can't find a babysitter, or there's no budget to go out at this point in our life, or whatever the reason it is. Don't let it stop you. Perfect is so overrated, as I say all the time. Make it happen. And don't call it date night. Think of it as quality time for connection. So it could be day, night, afternoon, doesn't matter. Change it up. And it can be so many different things. It's not a whole big thing that you need to plan or whatever. It needs to be time for connection together. Awesome. So now that we have shifted in our minds, and now we know how much we want to prioritize, even though there are probably things you already know, but we are reminding ourselves of how important it is to actually prioritize date night or time for connection. And we have shifted in our mind that it doesn't have to look a certain way. It can look in many different ways. It can be many different things. So now let's go and get really practical. I'm going to give you 8 practical tips about how to master this time for connection with your partner. So number 1, put it in your calendar. If you have a written calendar, put it down. If you have a calendar on your phone that you write in all your important meetings, put it in there. Put it in there just like it's a business meeting. Because just like a business meeting, if your boss told you you had to be somewhere at a certain time, you would be there. Even if something else was going on, or if you had really good excuses why you shouldn't be there, you would find a way. And we all know that our relationship with our husband is so much more important than our relationship with our boss. So put it in your calendar and think of it as a business meeting. If your boss wants to make a meeting at that time, you tell them, oh no, I already have a meeting at that time in my calendar, because it is so important to you that nothing can come in the way of it. Number 2, find a way to recharge your own batteries before your date. What does that mean? Whether you're exhausted just physically, you haven't slept in many days because you were tending for a baby or a sick child or whatever it is, find a way that you could rest before going out with your husband or spending time with your husband, whatever it is that you're going to be doing. Even a really short nap can change a lot. Do it. Find a way to recharge your batteries before the date. It might be something else that you need to recharge. Maybe you're not so tired, but you're really hungry because you haven't eaten anything the whole day, because you just didn't find time, or you were snacking because you didn't have time to actually prepare yourself a meal. So even if you're going to go out to eat, make sure that you're not coming to the date with empty batteries. Make sure that you're going to eat something that you feel good when you go out. Make sure that you're going to recharge whatever batteries it is that needs to be filled. Maybe it's emotional batteries. Whatever it is, find a way to recharge your batteries so that when you actually are going out, you're going to feel like, okay, I'm ready to do this and recharge my batteries even more. Number 3, plan date nights really smartly. And there are different ways that you can do it. Number 1 is you could either sit down and in your weekly planning that you do together, or maybe you don't do weekly planning together, but that's something we should talk about on a different episode. When I decide that you're going to sit down once every month and plan together what it is that you're going to do each week at your date night, or at whatever consistency it is that you decide you're going to do your date night. You could either plan it together and really write into your planner what it is you're going to do, so that again, you're not going to be faced with that, oh no, now what are we going to do that we have this time together? Another way that you could plan date nights is you could decide that you take turns of planning date night. And then when you do it like that, you also get this kind of surprise effect. And then you also get to feel like you each have an opportunity to pamper and to kind of spoil the other one in the week that you are planning. Now, when you each plan one date night and give the other the opportunity to plan the other, it's a great opportunity to be able to speak the other person's love language. If you don't know what a love language is, you could either look it up or wait for our episode that's going to come out soon about love languages and marriage. And it's a really great opportunity to do different things, to surprise the other person, and to be in this giving and receiving kind of relationship, even inside of date night. Another thing that you could do to plan date night in a smart way is that you could categorize what you do each week of the month. For example, you decide together that, okay, the first week of every month, we do an at-home date night. The second week, we go out to eat to a restaurant. Third week, we do something that we've never done before. And then the fourth week is we do something sporty, or we do something outdoors, or 1 week full effort, 1 week low effort, 1 week, whatever it is that you decide, but categorize the date. And then it already gives us a beginning of an idea of what it is we would want to do. Tip number 4, eliminate distractions. Make sure that you silence your phone, unless you have a babysitter, so you can silence your phone except for the babysitter's number. If we want to seek connection in the date night or in the time of connection, we need to make sure that we are connecting actually with our spouse and not distracted by so many different things that are going on. My husband and I once went out to a restaurant, and I think it was after having my second child, and we were sitting in the restaurant looking around us, and we see that all of the tables were full with couples, but at each table there was either one person on their phone or one person looking at the screen. I think that there was a soccer game going on, and nobody was talking. We were the only couple in the restaurant that didn't have our phones in our hands or looking at the game. And in that kind of way, okay, great. Maybe you could check it on your to-do list that you went out for a date. But did you connect? Probably not. Was it a time of connection? Probably not. So make sure that you eliminate distractions. A phone is one distraction, but think about it. What are other distractions that might be going on that we should really try and stay away from, so that this time can be really special just for connection? Number 5, decide on ground rules for your dates. What does that mean? You could decide on things that are not allowed or things that must happen on a date. And this is very personal for each couple, but just some examples are things that you're not allowed to talk about. Maybe on your date nights, you're not allowed to talk about kids, finances, whatever it is that's going to eliminate connection. Make sure that there are times that you're not allowed to talk about that. Should there be another space to talk about those things? Absolutely. But maybe you decide that at a certain time of your relationship, these are things that are not going to come up during your time of connection. Well, then you might be asking yourself, but then what will we talk about? And that's exactly the point. To learn to be curious about each other, to discover new things about each other, to discover new things in your relationship, to really be able to expand your relationship to other things that are not just managing a home or managing a family. Number 6, make it really simple. No complications. And I'm going to make that rule really simple and not say any more. For each of you, that means something else, but make it simple. Number 7, set the ambiance. If you want to be able to feel like you're actually having a date or a time to connect, pretend that you're dating for the first time. Get dressed up. Maybe, you want to set up the house in a certain way if you're doing some time of connection in the house. Maybe put on some soft music. Maybe whatever it is and wherever it is that you are, you can absolutely set the energy that's around you and make you feel like you're really sanctifying this time, like we said, and this space for connection. Number 8 is to bundle tasks together. Now, what does that mean? As parents, we have so many things that we need to do anyways, right? We need to fold laundry, make lunches, drop off at school. There's so many tasks that need to be done. And I told you now to add another task, which is time of connection. So what I would like to say is that you could definitely couple it together, no pun intended, couple two things together of something that you need to do anyways and this time of connection. I once heard of a couple that they decided when they had their first child that whenever the garbage would need to be taken out, they would go out and take it out together. In the middle of craziness or whatever was going on, they were going to have these few moments of connection. There was a time that my husband and I also had crazy schedules and we couldn't find any time to be together. No time overlapped in our schedules. We decided that he was going to come with me when I dropped the kids off at school because that was the only time that he had free in his schedule at that time. So at least we could have the time on our way back. And actually, it took a long time to drop off all the kids. So it was a good chunk of time in our day that we were going to bundle together, couple together, this taking the kids to school and both of us being together so that we would be able to have our time of connection. Now, does that look like a perfect date night? Probably not, but it did allow us this time to be able to connect in our crazy schedules. So that is a really great tip that's really practical and can really help make things really simple and less overwhelming. And you would be surprised how fun folding laundry can be. Like if you make it into a game, things can be fun. Be creative about it. Think about how you could do a daily task in a fun way, in a way that can connect you together. Or maybe you're just going to sit and talk over matching socks. That's fine too. But make sure that you find time that you can connect and really be there, one for each other, and be present in the moment. My last tip, which I know is already number 9, but my last tip is to go and grab my list of 50 home dates and essential guidelines to make your home date great. Because many times we maybe can't find a babysitter or we decide that we're going to do a at-home date night. So I prepared an already ready for you list of ideas that you can do at home and have a great time of connection and to be together and just have fun and make your relationship great. So you could find that at my website, alizasaeed.com, and go ahead and date away. Enjoy, everybody, and we will meet again next time.